And welcome back to the channel. So the ongoing trial involving Sean Combs, also known as Puff Diddy, just keeps getting worse, and now we're hearing a chilling new testimony from Cassie herself. She testified that during the so-called freak-off parties, she contracted multiple UTIs. These infections weren't just uncomfortable, they were excruciating. According to her, they were so bad that even the medication stopped working, guys. And it didn't stop there. She says she also developed painful sores on her tongue from what she was being exposed to. This is graphic, it's heartbreaking, and it's real, guys, but I don't want to spoil anything for you guys. Let's just take a moment to see how people on TikTok reacted to this revelation. The raw unfiltered responses say a lot, and after watching these clips, I'm gonna come back at the end of this video to give my own 2 cents, so make sure I watch this video up to the end. Let's watch this.
Now heard more from Cassie after the lunch break, and Kid Cudi has entered the chat. Not only that, but we're also hearing how the jury reacted to seeing images from the freak-off tapes, and we heard about how security ran after Cassie when she tried to get away when Diddy was abusing her. Cassie also admits to being physical, and we get information about how much her mom did or did not know. No videos were shown today. Instead, jurors were handed personal screens so that they could privately see images taken from what Cassie called freak-off videos. Cassie had a binder on the stand with her, and she was going through images identifying people in them. Cassie was listing the names of the male escorts, and in some of the images, she said it was herself with baby oil on her, and reporters say that one female juror rested her hand over her chest. Also say that a male juror quickly averted his eyes, and another wrote notes while clearly shaken. Prosecutor Emily Johnson then shifted the focus to when the abuse began. He said the first time that he got abusive with her was in New York when she was in his Escalade. Cassie said they were at a dinner and she had seen Diddy flirting with someone else. Now apparently another person had seen her watching Diddy and she just shrugged her shoulders. Cassie said she got into the car after dinner, and in the car was the driver and security, and said that when she got in, he hit her on the side of her head. Cassie said she fell on the floor of the car and she was shocked. I didn't necessarily understand what happened and why he was so angry, except for the little bit he said as he was hitting me in the car. Cassie detailed another incident that happened in LA. She said she was speaking to a producer about her music, and that's when Diddy accused her of being a... Cassie said she was intoxicated and she punched him. Prompted Diddy to not only beat her but stomp her in the face while she was on the floor of the Escalade. When they got to the house, she jumped out of the car and tried to run across the street, but Diddy's security caught up to her and brought her into the house. When she eventually looked at her face, she couldn't even recognize herself. She said there were knots and bleeding, swollen everything, and I looked horrible. Another incident was when Diddy beat her after a party at an LA club, and she told him she needed to get out of the house and be in a hotel. She testified that security covered her up and snuck her into a hotel, and she stayed there for a little over a week. And for those who like to stupidly comment, well, why didn't she leave? She said she didn't have the resources and she didn't feel safe to do so. In her own words, I understood Sean's capabilities, his access to guns, and the threats that he made prior to that. When it comes to her mom, she said she never told her mom the truth because she was ashamed. She did testify that her mom once reached out to her to ask her if a blind item she read was about her. She had to ask because, of course, the blind item doesn't include names. She said, I didn't want to put my mother in danger of knowing anything to that magnitude. She talked about another frightening night where she went to a party without telling Diddy, and Prince was there performing. Diddy showed up and she ran. Later, he found out what hotel she was at, and she said he dragged her into the room, beat me up in that room, threw luggage, called me names, and said she had bruises and knots on her head. Now we get into Kid Cudi and how Diddy found out about this relationship. He said it was actually during a freak-off where Diddy had seen an email on her phone. He lunged at me with a wine opener. I ran to Scott's house and used a burner phone. Later, Diddy not only threatened to have her freak-off tapes released, but that he would harm not only her, but also Kid Cudi, which I'm sure you know he's very capable of doing so. Cassie said he told her that he wouldn't be harming her and Kid Cudi with his own hands, and it would happen when he was out of the country. Cassie did email her mom and one of Diddy's employees, and that email was shown to the jury. She said that Diddy was threatening to release explicit videos of her, including on Christmas Day. She also put in this email exactly what I just told you, that Diddy had threatened her and Kid Cudi, but it wouldn't happen with his own hands, and when it does happen, he would be out of the country. And when asked if at this point she had told her mom everything, she said, no, I just told her this was the first time. She also said she never told her mom about the freak-offs. When talking about the physical abuse, she said that yes, sometimes she did initiate fights, but she never left him bruised. Contrast, when he would be physical with her, there was always a bruise and she would have to hide out at a hotel for days. Cassie did ask for a break, but it's going to be a short one, and I will be back later today for the final piece of her testimony.
Cassie contracted so many UTIs during her S parties with Diddy, her antibacterial meds stopped working, as what she is testifying day 3 of the Diddy S trafficking trial. When asked how she would recover from these S parties, she said she would take things, wanted to feel numb, they would get massages, get IV fluids, and the chef would cook something for them. They said, how often did you take things after the freak-offs? She said, very often, I got urinary tract infections. She was asked if the UTIs were painful. She said, very antibacterial medicines didn't even work anymore. They said, how did it feel during the freak-off? She went on to say how she would not advise it because it was burning. And they proceeded to read messages that Cassie sent to Diddy out loud. She allegedly said, I have all these sores on my tongue, I have another UTI. They went on to ask her what sores. She said, friction in my mouth. From what? She says, from gawk gawk. Now you said another UTI, then the sad face emoji. Cassie went on to say how she was open with Diddy about her contracting UTIs. She went on to say how she often took the blame for things even if they weren't her fault. This is only day 3 of the trial. I'm curious to see how these next few days and next few weeks pan out. I'm curious to know what y'all think about this. Let me know in the comments, y'all. Peace.
You know, this case right here was something that I knew was going to be a hot mess. I knew it was going to be nasty and graphic. But I have to draw the line right here. Cassie says antibiotics stopped working after constant UTIs from Diddy freak-offs. Also claims she had mouth sores from too much of that. And then it was this one, all on the same day. Mind you, this is day 3. We only in day 3, people. Cassie alleges that Diddy to her in 2018 after their breakup and while she was dating her now husband, Alex. I lived through OJ, didn't have a big impact on me. Couple other, crimes that were big, lots of documentaries, but didn't have an impact on me. This, I'm not covering this no more. I got to draw the line here because something tells me this is if they're presenting this on day 3, this is not the tip of the iceberg, y'all. This is going to get worse, I fear. And I cannot stomach it. I can't. So the only video that I will be posting in regards to this case and this demon will be the day that he is charged and put under the jail for life. Hopefully. I can only pray. There is no healing. There is no counseling. There is no meds. There is no counseling. There's no assistance that can be had for this man. Jaguar White said that he is the devil. She was right, I fear. It's over. I will only be making another video when he is charged. That's it.
Cassie said Diddy made her do freak-offs with a freaking UTI and sores all on her tongue and all in her mouth, y'all. Yes, she said they had a 4-day freak-off that lasted for hours each day, to the point to where when the freak-off was over with, her mouth was filled with so many sores, her vagina was burning. She said her was burning during some of the days of the freak-off, y'all. She said she had to sit there and endure that on top of having a UTI, sores in your mouth. She also was on her cycle. Imagine being on your cycle, having a UTI, you know what I'm saying, doing all this shit, and your man just wants you to get hunched on by several different men. Y'all, and let's not even talk about how it was 12 different male prostitutes. 12. Yes, 12. From different cities. They were flown the fuck in. Flown to them or whatever. Like, he had a real obsession with seeing her get plowed by other men, and he didn't care what type of position she was in. Like even the one prostitute said she took too long to come in the room, and he beat the hell out of her so bad that his payment get hard for her no more because he couldn't believe that he just seen it. That don't sound crazy to y'all?
Anybody else find it weird that there's like a whole bunch of people in the comment section defending Diddy, and they keep saying that, oh, Cassie's just as guilty. She chose to stay. She chose to stay. Did you see the video of her being beaten up at the hotel? I don't think she could leave. And I keep seeing comments of like, oh, but why'd she stay so long? Why'd she stay so long? Who knows? She was young. Maybe she was scared for her life and she thought maybe if she left, she'd die. How could you not feel sorry for this girl after watching that video?
Cassie said that she was catching so many urinary tract infections that the medication stopped working for her. Now she's on the stand day 2. They believe she'll be there for a good chunk of today, might even take us out to the end of court today. Okay. And she's on the stand. Now, the full 15-minute video has been released of that hotel incident that TMZ or CNN had released. But the full video, TMZ has also posted it, but it's out there, right? It doesn't give us much more insight because I feel like the clip that they did release to us was pretty much the chunk of the action that was happening. Everything else is like him walking up and down the hallway. You do see like a hotel employee, I believe, coming up there and responding to the call that Cassie made downstairs. Now, she also talked about how she would often get sores in her mouth from the friction of giving fellatio over and over again. That the friction from that would cause her to get these sores inside of her mouth. And she said that she was very open with Sean Puffy Combs about these things that were going on. So a text message was presented, and in that text message she was letting him know that, hey, I got a UTI again.
Cassie was a regular at the salon I worked at in Beverly Hills for like 5 years. She's not only like the sweetest, kindest girl in the world, but she stops you in your tracks with like how genuinely beautiful she is. I feel guilty for even thinking this back then, but I remember my thought process was like, well, it sucks that her music career didn't pan out, but at least she wound up with this pop culture legend. She comes in here all the time. She's able to go shopping. She travels the world. That must be a really amazing life. I was in my early 20s then, and I was so enamored with money and fame. And I remember one of my older coworkers saying to me, Maddie, she called me Maddie. She said, don't ever be jealous of the people who come in here. You don't know what their real life is like. You don't know what their life is like at home. You don't know who's coming in here and maxing out credit cards who can't afford it. And over the years, I saw that. I remember there was this playmate who was a regular who wound up unaliving herself, and before that I thought she had the best life. And once I saw that video of Cassie and Diddy in the hotel, I felt sick that it happened, sick that I thought that she had this amazing life, sick that I was like projecting some sort of fantasy life onto her, because now we know that she was basically a prisoner being watched over by Diddy's staff, and she was used and abused for a solid decade. I know this is unrelated, but I saw a clip of Kylie Jenner yesterday crying on TikTok, and people in the comments were like, oh, you poor billionaire. It makes me sad because you really don't ever know what somebody's going through. And no matter how much money somebody has or you think they have, we're still all people. I eventually left the salon, became Mariah Carey's assistant, and went on to interview with Diddy. This was after they had already broken up. If you want to hear about that, it's just 2 videos before this one.
I have to be honest with you guys, I am afraid for Cassie right now, because this isn't about shocking headlines or viral sound bites anymore. It's about a woman who endured a real trauma. The things she's testifying to aren't just disturbing, they're devastating. And when you truly sit with the details, it's nothing short of a miracle that she's still alive today. Described suffering through repeated UTIs that were so painful. Her medication stopped working, guys. She spoke about sores on her tongue from the things she was exposed to, the so-called the freak-off parties. This is not normal. This is not casual, guys. This is not entertainment. This is trauma. And the fact that Diddy continues to deny all of it, painting Cassie as someone who's just after The money is infuriating. He's out here calling her a liar, but let's be honest, videos are there. Videos are existing. All the freak-offs parties, I hope those videos gets to be played in court. This isn't just her word against his anymore. There's too much smoke for there not to be a fire. I hope more people find the strength to come forward and testify, because it's clear that Cassie wasn't the only one affected by this man. What we're witnessing is the unrevealing of a long history of control, abuse, and manipulation. It's time the world stopped enabling it. Let's talk about how graphic these testimonies are. Cassie's husband, her partner and support, had to walk out of the courtroom. He couldn't sit through to hear he couldn't believe what he was hearing. And even more heartbreaking, Diddy's own teenage daughters had to leave the courtroom too, because what they were hearing was too much. That's how intense, how raw, and how horrifying these accounts are. Still trying to spin this narrative that he isn't a victim. It's not gonna work this time. Either this man needs to be locked, or he needs to be committed to a mental institution, because what he allegedly did to this woman and possibly others is not just criminal, it's psychotic. And for the people who keep saying, why didn't she leave? Why did she stay all this long with Diddy? You need to understand the power of dynamics at play. She was just 19 years old when she started dating Diddy. He was in his mid-30s and he had money, he had power, he had influence. She was just starting her career. She was young, impressionable and trusting, and he used all of that to groom her. This wasn't a relationship, it was power imbalance from the very beginning. So no, we're not going to be, blaming the victim here. Cassie was a victim of this man's control, and she's incredibly strong to be standing up now and speaking out. After everything she went through, after everything she endured, it's a miracle that she has the courage to say this. This is what happened to me. We need to stop asking survivors why they stayed and start asking abusers why they made it possible, to do what they did to the victims. She deserves support, she deserves justice, and deserves peace. So please, before you rush to judgment, before you parrot the same tired questions about why she didn't walk away, take a moment to consider the system she was trapped in, the fear she lived with, the mental and physical abuse she survived. Cassie is lucky to be alive, and the fact that she's using her voice now should be met with compassion and strength, no doubt and blame. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section below. I'm really feeling sad about this. I don't know if you can tell. I was crying, just talking about this. Justice will be served. Do you think more people come forward? I'll be reading your thoughts, and as always, please stay safe, stay informed. I'll be posting another video on this topic, an update on what's to come on, because there's a trial today and it's happening. I think by the time you'll be reading watching this video, it will be done, or it will be in progress, anyway, something like that. Let me know what you think about this, and take this opportunity in your comment section down below to encourage whoever was involved in these freak-offs parties to come forward, testify against this man, to help this woman. I mean, she's like an arrow, she's in front. Let her lead whoever was involved. I mean, the victims who was involved in these freak-off parties. Encourage them to come forward to support Cassie. She deserves better than this. I hope her marriage will survive this. I'm telling you, I hope her marriage survives this. I'll see you guys in my next video. Please stay peaceful.